Hey, what's happening, world? B Marsh Boxing. I'm back at it with another boxing video. So, man, look like there's trouble in DeSoto, Texas, man. Dallas, Texas, home of Errol Spence and his trainer Derrick James. Looks like things is all bad down there in Texas. You know, it's been all bad ever since July 29th of 2023 when Errol Spence got handed his ass to him on a platter by the man Terrence Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? So, and that's actually what I'm about to get into. You know, the trainer, Derrick James, claims that he hasn't been paid his dues, his 10% purse, or 10% as a trainer that he's always been paid since he's been training Errol Spence from from their first fight as a pro. You know what I mean? Now, Derrick James was even training the man Bud Crawford. I'm sorry, Errol Spence, since he was an amateur, but he wasn't getting paid for that. But as a pro, he's been getting his 10%. But it seems like he hasn't been getting paid his 10% for numerous fights, but most specifically, this Bud Crawford fight. You know what I mean? So James has filed a lawsuit in Dallas County, Texas courts, and he wants to he's seeking no less than $5 million from Errol Spence, and he's basically suing for fraud and breach of contract because he claims that the man Errol Spence has not fulfilled his obligations to pay the man Derrick James 10% cut of every fight purse money that the man Errol Spence makes. You know what I mean? But like I said, more specifically, this Bud Crawford fight. So 5% is $5 million is definitely more than the fight with the man Bud Crawford. You know what I'm saying? So the lawsuit that James is has filed says that the breach of contract and the fraudulent business practices of the man Errol Spence is what's forcing his hand to take the man to court. He claims that the man Bud Errol Spence he clocked in and made um, a guaranteed purse of 25 million versus the man Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? And he says that Errol Spence only paid him 350 grand. You know what I'm saying? So he's seeking 2.1 million because 2.1 million that's owed to him. The rest of the money that's owed to him from the man Errol Spence. You know what I mean? Because 25% of his, 10% of the $25 million purse. So he should be getting his 2.5 million. You know what I mean? So that's where we at with this situation with the man Errol Spence. You know what I mean? And his trainer. And Errol Spence claims that, and I'll read you quote verbatim in like a February 13th conversation. You know what I mean? The lawsuit claims that um, Errol Spence told the man Derrick James, quote, he was entitled to receive 10% of the guaranteed purse. Um, End quote. And then the man Errol Spence said, according to the lawsuit that Derrick James has presented, Derrick James said that the man Errol Spence told him that, quote, someone named Al told him that paying James 350 grand for the Crawford fight in exchange for his training services was generous, end quote. Now, this article, they don't know if that person named Al is Spence's longtime manager and the man who made PBC Premier Boxing Champions, Al Heyman. It hasn't been confirmed in the lawsuit. It's just someone named Al. This is what Errol Spence told the man, Derrick James, in a February 13th conversation. I don't know if this was a face to face, in person, on the phone, or in via text message. Yeah, I mean, um, and then Derrick James, attorney, Derrick James' attorney wrote in the lawsuit that, quote, no one named Al was present when James and Spence originally entered their agreement. Any alleged reliance by Spence on advice from someone named Al regarding James' compensation is misplaced. So basically, end quote. So basically, Derrick James' attorney is saying that nobody named Al or whomever Al may be was not present in their conversation about their 10%. That the 10% that the man Errol Spence always owes the man Derrick James for every fight that the man Derrick James trains him. You know what I mean? Um, the man Errol Spence, the lawsuit also says um, that that Errol Spence would on February 13th on the phone. Errol Spence on February 15th on the phone told Derrick James that he quote he did rob him, end quote. And basically that was Errol Spence admitting that James being shorted the money, and this was via text message. You know what I'm saying? And 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 these are quotes from the text message. It said, quote, that he wanted, Errol Spence is basically writing on the text message to the man, Derrick James, quote, that he wanted to own up to his shit and pay James the remaining 2.15 million that kept with their verbal agreement, end quote. So, if the Derrick James has all these text messages, I don't see any other way that he won't get the remainder of his money. You know what I mean? So it seems like Errol Spence, not only has he been ducking the man Bud Crawford in the rematch, he been ducking his trainer the whole time, trying to avoid him. Maybe that's why we hadn't seen the man Errol Spence for really 7 months. After that July 29th beatdown, you know what I'm saying? When he resurfaced in January of 2024 with saying that his eyes messed up and that he can't do no rematch with the man Bud Crawford. And obviously he didn't say, Bud Crawford, hold tight for me, let me get my eye healed. We gonna have to do this. I gotta get my get back. That was basically his way out of the fight, claiming that his eyes messed up and he can't go along with the fight because the rematch was supposed to be in December of 2023. You know what I mean? Um, and according to the lawsuit, what's his name? Errol Spence told Derrick James that hold tight, basically, give me a week. He said the money would arrive the following week because he doesn't have liquid funds. But at the end of the day, obviously, the money never came. You know what I mean? That week never came. Then like next week, you know how somebody owes you money and they tell you tomorrow, 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 or next week, and that basically and they don't pay you. That's what I always say. Look, man, tomorrow never comes. You know what I mean? I'm tired of hearing your BS, man. Pay me my money. Um, So yeah, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? The man, so this 5 million that the man Errol Spence I'm sorry, Derrick James is seeking. It says he wants to see all the accounts of the payouts that the man Derrick James, excuse me, Errol Spence received for not only the Bud Crawford fight, but the pay-per-views that Errol Spence participated in, and that was versus Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Dennis Ugas, and Crawford. And that's why he wants no less than $5 million. You know what I mean? So you won't believe it. The man, Errol Spence, is countersuing Derrick James. You know what I mean? He's been countersuing and talking about he's paid him what he needs to be paid, and he's saying that the pay was consistent. You know what I mean? And this lawsuit has been filed in Dallas County Civil Court, and he's basically saying that he's paid the man his money, and he's seeking no less than 250 grand from the man Derrick James. I'm not sure how he's gonna be seeking 250 grand. The man's trying to sue you for $5 million. How does that man owe you? Yeah, I'm saying, let me see what this article says basically as to why he's suing. It's basically he's basically suing the man Derrick James for um he's seeking 250 grand or less from Derrick James along with attorney fees. But really and truly, the article is not specifically saying why he's suing Derrick James. You know what I mean? He's basically saying that, oh, he's saying that he paid the man his 10%. Okay, that's what the Errol Spence countersuit's all about. He's paying the man. He paid the man Derrick James his 10%, along with, and that 10% of that Bud Crawford fight means he's paid him in full, $2.5 million. Okay, and he said along with an $100,000 bonus. So I'm sure he's trying to seek his $100,000 bonus along with court fees and lawyer fees that the man has to pay. Seems a little fraudulent, you know what I mean? Derrick James's case seems a little bit more concrete, you know what I mean? More tangible than the man, uh, Errol Spence's law countersuit, you know what I mean? Um, so it's looking real messy, man. You know, the man Derrick James' first payout with the man Errol Spence was $250 for his first professional fight. That means but Errol Spence made $2,500. You know what I mean? 2,500 grand. Not 2,500 grand. 2,500. You know what I mean? So 10% of that would be $250. So as long as Errol Spence payouts increase, the more Derrick James makes. And it just seems like, the man Errol Spence might be bitter that he lost that fight, and maybe he thought that maybe Derrick James' game plan wasn't lost the fight to the man Bud Crawford. He probably thinks or is trying to make an excuse that maybe Derrick James' game plan was the reason he lost and all that. It probably doesn't want to come down to the conclusion or just look himself in the mirror and say he got beat by the better man, and hence why this guy probably doesn't want to pay the man Derrick James. He probably sees Derrick James working with, at the time, the likes of Anthony Joshua, and obviously now with guys like Ryan Garcia, got his big upset over Devin Haney. And Errol Spence is on the sideline looking in, because really and truly, he don't even have a trainer up to this date. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a new trainer, and the new trainer won't always solve your issues or your problems. Ask guys like Oscar De La Hoya how he used to switch trainers every day, like he be changing his drawers. You know what I mean? Or even fellas like Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? How many trainers has he had ever since he dropped? Uh, um, what's that guy? The guy who fought for the WBC title. I think was it at 168. What's his name? Keith Holmes from Washington D.C. beat him. Anthony Joshua trainer who was training him since the Olympics. The guy who trained Carl Froch. I'm forgetting his name. You know what I mean? How many trainers has Joshua had ever since he left that guy? I know it starts with a MC like McFadden or McDonald's or McNeil. I'm not saying that those three are his names. I know it starts with the MC. Whatever. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Whoever's listening to this video, you know what I'm talking about. The man Anthony Joshua went through all kind of trainers. You know what I mean? He was even with Derrick James. He was been with Ben Davidson. He's been with Robert Garcia. You know what I mean? So, that's what it looks like from the outside looking in as far as Errol Spence just seeking 250 grand. This other guy's trying to see $5 million from the man Errol Spence, So it's looking real bad. And you hate to see it, guys who came up in the game together and became successful together as a team. It's not a one man operation when y'all doing this boxing thing, you know what I mean? It's a team at the end of the day. Yes, it's an individual sport. When the lights come on, it's just two fighters in the ring. But these training camps, these guys who are being paid for their duties, for their work, whatever that may be in the training camps, you know what I mean? And not only that, the trainer is basically the right hand man of the boxer, giving him the instructions, trying to and the game plan. So it's looking real bad. You know, I'm just gonna sit this one out. I don't know who's on the right or who's on the wrong, but if Derrick James claims he's been paid and he can show proof that he only got 350 grand from the fight versus Bud Crawford, and he's supposed to get 10% out of every purse that the man Errol Spence payout get, then this will be an open and shut case, man. Derrick James gonna win this joint in a landslide. But time will tell. We shall see. What's up, Mike 104 in the chat? What's up, my G? Mike 104, big up, big up. He says, Spence activated his judicial system's rematch clause against Derrick James. $5 million, bruh. Best believe you getting sued. Absolutely. And that's for accumulation of fights, you know what I mean? Not just the Bud Crawford fight. Basically, every pay per view that the man, uh, Errol Spence, has participated in. So that means Errol Spence, according to Derrick James, has been shorting him, giving him short money for every single pay per view fight. And if that's the case, that's not fair. That's not right. In business, you got to handle your business correct. Yeah, I mean, handle your business correct. Uh, Mike 104 says, what is a reasonable cut for head train? 10%? I believe that's straight, you know. Not sure how much managers get. And of course, other expenses, overhead expenses that you got to pay, especially during training camp. Uh, really and truly, I don't know how much a fighter has to pay to come out the pocket for training camp. You know, some claim that they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for a training camp. I don't understand why. If a man like Derrick James has his own gym in Dallas, Texas, what is it to come up out the pocket for? You train, and training is free. Expending your energy and time, you know. Obviously, the trainer has to get paid because that's the agreement coming in. Trainers ain't working for free. So I'm not sure. Okay, there's other guys in the camp that have to be paid for whatever they may have to do. You know, there's probably assistant coaches and whatnot. So let's say two other guys in the corner. They obviously ain't gonna make the same amount of pay that a head trainer makes. Yeah, I mean, so in this case, obviously the 2.5 million dollars Derrick James is owed just for this Bud Crawford fight is for fight night. It's not part of the expenses for the training camp. So I'm not sure how much fellas gotta spend, you know what I'm saying, to be in a training camp. But if I was a boxer, I'd be trying to minimize all expenses by any means necessary. You know what I mean? Shouldn't be having to spend 100 grand on an 8 week training camp. Well, I mean, what does 100 grand get you? 1,000,001 Gatorade bottles and towels to wipe your face, headgear, and I don't get it. I'm not sure. Look, I've never ran or operated a training camp, but I'm just saying, pay the man his 2.5 million, his 2.1 million if for the Bud Crawford fight. If you've only paid him 350 grand, 350 grand is not 10% of a $25 million purse. Like 104 says, damn, that's a big check. Absolutely. You know, in just one night, Derrick James, the trainer, can become is a millionaire a couple times over, you know. But the boxer is getting $25 million guaranteed in for his payout. So it's only fair. It's only right. Mike 104 says ultimately it comes down to what you can prove. Verbal agreements gonna get clapped in court. 10% needs to be in a written contract binding. And I would hope that Derrick James does have a contract that shows that he's supposed to get 10% out of every fight. And if he does, and he can prove he only got paid 350 grand, it is what it is. He gonna get his payout. Mike 104 says Bronx tail 20 bucks, get rid of him. I've always been on that type of time too. And I got that knowledge from that movie Bronx Tale. Remember when Calogero was chasing the kid who owed him 20 bucks or something, and the kid was across the street, and then the kid was running from him, telling, "Hey, Calogero, I got you tomorrow. I got you tomorrow," or something. And Calogero was chasing him and cursing at him, and he was vexed. And it's like, dogs. Sonny told him, man, that's a cheap price to get rid of a clown. I'm not gonna say exactly the same words. I'm trying not to curse on this video. Uh, But that's basically a cheap price to get rid of a clown, and I've always been on that type of time. If it's some real money, I'm gonna chase you down, hunt you down. You're not gonna get away with that. But 10, 20 bucks, man, you can go, you can keep that. You know what I'm saying? It's just basically I'm gonna get you up out of my life, cut you off, got nothing to deal with you. You know what I mean? And if you're such a douchebag to the point where you can ruin a relationship over 10, 20 bucks, then that just says a whole lot about you. You know what I mean? Mike 104 says probably Spence paid him 10% of his guaranteed purse, but conveniently left out the gate and pay-per-view. Spence probably arguing that Derrick James' 10% is not scalable with pay-per-view and gate. That's probably true, you know. That's probably true, but I'm not sure. But that all depends. I heard Regis Progress talking to a channel about was it the Devin Haney purse or whatever, and he said he ain't never get no money off the back end except his guaranteed purse. You know what I mean? And basically, he was claiming that that's because the fight did not exceed the pay-per-view ceiling that they needed to make an extra. You know what I'm saying? Beyond what the guaranteed purse is. You know what I mean? And Bud Crawford and them fight. I think it did like 600,000 pay-per-view buys. So I'm on the outside. I don't know exactly what the threshold or what they were supposed to surpass in order for them to get um, any more money now pay-per-view revenue besides the $25 million guaranteed purse. You know what I mean? Looks like Bud Crawford also got the same amount. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little less. I'm not sure. But Bud Crawford ain't crying for money, and neither is the man. What's his name? His trainer. What's his name? Bomac. You know what I mean? Uh, Mike 104 says McCracken. Yes, indeed. Rob McCracken. That's the guy. Rob McCracken. He fought Keith Holmes back in the day. Keith Holmes was a Washington, D.C. champ, WBC middleweight champ. You know what I mean? Um, what's his name? Okay. Mike 104 says, good looks on that, man. Rob McCracken. Mike 104 says, Calogero. Sonny told him, you don't want his 20 bucks. You clowns like him to stay the F away from you. Absolutely. You know what I mean? You got to keep these kind of clowns away from you. If they ducking you for 10, 20 bucks, that ain't going to make or break you. So let them have it. And every time they see you, they probably can't even look you in the eye because of the shame and the guilt. You know, but a real one will just come up out the pocket and give you that. It's happened to me before. And one time somebody owed me 20 bucks. You know, somebody that, you thought you could trust. And the man dipped off, and I never seen him again till one day I eventually seen him at the gas station. We're both pumping gas, and them fellas, I seen him, and I ain't even ask him for the dough. But he came up to me and said, "Oh, yo, my bad, black, oh, my, and he still ain't come out the pocket. I ain't even asking for the dough, man. Here's a clown, stay where you at. You ain't gonna get no blessings for that foul shit that you did anyways, you know what I mean? Uh Mike 104 says that 20 bucks back in the 50s Bronx Tale was like 100 or more today. Absolutely. Um, Mike 104 says, but yeah, I didn't learn from that movie till I got older. Shout out to B. Marsh. Yeah, man, those were nice, like some nice jewels that I learned from that movie. You know what I mean? Especially that particular instance. Another one was the Mickey Mantle joint when the kid Calogero loved Mickey Mantle and the New York Yankees and whatnot. And Sonny told him, man, you think if your pops lost his job today, or he couldn't pay the rent, Mickey Mantle will come up out of nowhere and help your pops pay his rent or give him a job? Hell no. And Calogero said, from that day on, I wasn't a New York Yankees fan or Mickey Mantle or whatever. That's Truth and Rights. Just like The Alchemist back in the day, on his first album, he had a similar skit, but on a skit like that, similar, but instead of using Mickey Mantle, it was basically him talking to a kid, and they replaced Mickey Mantle with Kobe Bryant. Alchemist from L.A. He's a obviously a Lakers fan, and he said, "You think if Kobe Bryant, if your pops lost his job today or couldn't pay the rent, Kobe Bryant would pay your pops rent?" No, and that's basically saying is you could appreciate these athletes, but don't look up to them like they gods or anything besides just athletes. You know what I mean? Um, Mike 104 says Bud and Bomac not suing each other because they won. The Spence versus Derrick James is prompted by separation after a bad loss. Bingo. There it is. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? And the fact that probably Errol Spence was in a cocoon, hibernating, hiding for months. He probably wasn't even in contact or seeing Derrick James or even coming to the gym. You know what I mean? Wherever he was in a deep depression and secluded somewhere. I heard these type of things from Sugar Ray Leonard back in the day, when he took that first loss, but obviously he bounced back. When he took that first loss to Roberto Duran in an embarrassing fashion, and look, that fight was kind of close. Duran didn't just beat him from pillar to post. Obviously, Ray Leonard fought a wrong game plan as far as his fight plan. But he said he was in a deep depression and, he was hiding from the public, didn't want to be seen by the media. And he took a little vacation with his wife to Hawaii. And while he was in Hawaii, he got that eureka bingo moment. And he basically thought to himself, he fought out of anger because this dude was talking crazy about his wife trying to push his buttons, Durant, that is. And he got a little word from a birdie that the man Duran is in New York City, just partying and drinking and eating a whole lot, gaining a whole lot of weight and drinking and whatnot. And he snapped up out of it, and they tried to make the fight as fast as they can. That was his basically his get back plan. He knows that maybe Duran is not a disciplined fighter when he's not fighting, when he's not in fight mode. You know what I'm saying? Or doesn't train year round. Well, Errol Spence couldn't use that type of reasoning with the man Bud Crawford. Man, Bud Crawford stay in shape. He ain't never cheated the game. He ain't no alcoholic like Errol Spence. You know, he's a guy who keeps himself in tip-top shape, doesn't abuse his body, and he couldn't use that against the man Bud Crawford. Hence why he had to pull out of the fight in 2024, saying he can't go on with the fight because of his eye. I lost a whole lot of respect for Errol Spence, to be honest. Not because of the beating he took from Bud Crawford. I already saw that coming. I knew he'd get his ass handed to him, but I didn't think he gonna get stopped. I thought he'd get dropped a couple times, but I didn't think he'd get stopped, right? But I lost a lot of respect for him for how the man prolonged the inevitable. It was really trying to age the man Bud Crawford out till his back was against the wall and he almost got knocked out by Dennis Ugas in that round 7 or whatever. And he had no other choice but to fight the man Bud Crawford. And clearly, there's levels to this. And Errol Spence looked like a D fighter in there with a Class A fighter. That's just the truth about it, you know what I mean? Uh where we at in the chat? Um the bad loss. Mike 104 says, never meet your heroes. I met Floyd Mayweather when I was 18 working at Walgreens. Big ass security guards boxed me out, LOL. T- uh, talking like 6'8", 300-pound dudes. True indeed. Hey, man, when I be seeing celebrities or athletes or ball, whomever in public, man, I ain't never, or rappers or whomever, it's just not in me to go up to him and be like a groupie on some shit. You know what I mean? You see him on TV, you see him in real life, ain't no difference. You know what I mean? Really and truly, you know. One time when I was in Philly, I was walking in Philly one time on Broad Street, and I was walking, and I seen a guy kind of approaching me. I'm basically walking south, he's walking north, and we coming across each other. I see this guy, he kind of staring at my kicks, you know what I mean? He looking at my kicks, and he's a big dude. I had on them Jordan threes, them cement retro joints, the cement with the elephant print, right? The black joints. And as he gets closer, I see it's Elton Brand. This was when he played for the Sixers, so obviously this was maybe in the late 2000s, maybe early 2010s. And as he approached, I saw his Elton Brand. This when he played for the Sixers. I said, "Hey, what's up, Elton Brand?" And he said, "What up, man?" And he gave me a pound, and we kept it moving. He continued going north. I continued going south. We obviously had places to go, people to see, but that was our real respect to the man, Elton Brand. I give it up to him. You know what I mean? Them fellas didn't act like he's too good or anything. You know what I'm saying? I've seen other celebrities too. I mean, I've seen a whole lot of ball players when I go to the Goodman League in DC, especially when they had the Goodman League versus the Drew League, when the Drew League fellas from LA, James Harden and these guys, Paul George, they had DeMarcus Cousins. I seen a whole lot of ball players up close. Even gave my little brother a pen and pad to go get autographs from fellas like KD. But one guy I remember who acted kind of crazy to my mans when he tried to give him a pound was DeMarcus Cousins, man. Cousins grilled my man, looked at him up and down, and he turned his back on him. And I was like, hey, these are some of the reasons why some of these guys, you just gotta leave them alone. I came and seen the game up close and personal. I seen more ball players up close and personal at these Goodman leagues and these pro am basketball joints than I've seen at a real NBA game. You know what I mean? And more times these joints I'm talking about are free. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? Um, Mike 104 says, box me out like basketball. Floyd is a funny guy. He stood in line at Walgreens like a regular patron until it was time to pay. Then the bagman took his place. I was like, dang, I almost rang up Floyd. That'd have been nice. That'd have been nice. Town Biz, what up, Town Biz? Big up Town Biz from the Bay. Salute to you, my G. Always, you already know. Town Biz in the chat says, I just seen a video of Errol Spence recently, and he looked like he had a pot belly. Spence don't be in the gym like he wants us to believe. I won't doubt that one bit. I can guarantee you the whole time ever since Bud Crawford whooped his ass, he ain't been in that gym with Derrick James. He ain't been in the gym. Derrick James has had a whole lot of other obligations, fellas, to train. Like I said, whether it was AJ, obviously Ryan Garcia, Frank Martin. You know what I'm saying? He got a whole lot of people. It's not. It wasn't just all the attention now on Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? So um, maybe Errol Spence felt some kind of way. Maybe he felt, damn, I'm not the the crown jewel or the golden child of this gym no more. You know what I mean? Um, Tom Biz says, I just seen, I think I read that, yeah. Tom Biz says, I always knew that Bud was going to stop Spence. I already know, dogs. I was listening to your videos, and you was one of the few, just like me, who didn't like the practices or or the way the man Errol Spence was handling his business throughout the build up of the fight, or even trying to make the fight, and how you remember how the when Bud Crawford took that fight with that B2K or whatever that joint was, where he fought Avanesian, and Bud Crawford said, "Dogs, these people paying me 10 million." He was trying to make the fight the whole time for that December, but Errol Spence was dragging his feet, and that's what turned me off on the man Errol Spence. You know what I mean? How them fellas, Errol Spence was just, man, trying to age the man Bud Crawford out and not keeping his word. And you could tell Bud Crawford was hungry. He needed this fight. He needed this fight because of the media and how people was, throwing smut on his name. Hey man, July 29th, man, he changed that whole narrative just with his hands. You know what I mean? Strictly with the hands. Not no talking, no none of that. Just hands. And that's why I love boxing. Ain't nobody getting choked out, strangled, or fellas put on a chokehold on the ground. It's just straight up and down hands. Um, where we at in the chat? Mike 104 says, Town Biz, what's the deal? You saluting Town Biz. Yeah, these my Bay Area brothers in the chat, no question. San Jose, Oakland, you know what I mean? You know, when I first came to this country, I came to USA as a little kid. I was barely 1 years old. My parents went to Cal Berkeley. You know what I mean? So that's where I was first staying as a little kid. We stayed in Oakland and what you call that? I'm sure y'all know the neighborhood, Albany. You know what I mean? That's why I went to elementary school and all preschool. You know what I'm saying? Before we moved to the East Coast, you know what I'm saying? So, the Bay is always gonna be close to my heart, you know what I'm saying? I love the Bay. I like Bay Area rappers since Spice One and all them, you know what I mean? Spice One, Short Dog, E40, but I gotta give it up to Spice One. That's my guy right there. I love Spice One. Drew down these fellas, man. The Bay Area swag is like that, you know what I mean? And I love the Bay, truth and rights, but I ain't been out there since 1998. Soon come, man. I'll come out there and visit the Bay one time, you know what I mean? It's been a minute. And that's why I love the 49ers, where, I do love the 49ers, man, because when I was a kid, man, if you ask me what my name was, I tell you my name was Joe Montana, and my pops is Dan Marino, you know what I mean? My first sporting event I ever been to in my life was at the Coliseum. It was the Oakland Days versus the Cleveland Indians, you know what I'm saying, back in the 80s. So the Bay Area is always going to be close to my heart. Salute my Bay Area fellas in the chat. You already know. Um, Mike 104 says, I like DeMarcus Cousins. There's a funny video of him clowning joking Noah free throw. Hey, DeMarcus Cousins, I liked how he played. He plays ball, you know what I mean? He always played with intensity and whatnot. But the way he carried my man, carried, in DC we say carried, that's like, damn, Slim carried you. Like, man, he treated you like a clown or a gump. Like, he ain't show you no respect. He carried my man something crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it was. And this was around 20 that summer of 2011 when there was an NBA lockout. That was that summer when LeBron James choked to the Cleveland Cavs. I said Cleveland Cavs choked Miami Heat versus Dallas Mavericks when Dirk Nowitzki gave him that work. So that summer there was a lockout, and these ball players was traveling around the country, giving people all kind of shows, better than NBA games. You know what I mean? And then Marcus Cousins, that summer I seen him twice in DC when they came to Drew League, and he played on the Drew League. The Goodman League is the DC Pro Am. That's like, you know, like basically the like the Rucker Park of NYC or the Drew League of Los Angeles. So the Drew League had fellas like James Harden. Uh, who else was there? Of course, DeMarcus Cousins. A whole lot of other players, man. It's been a while, but I saw DeMarcus Cousins twice. Even that later on that fall or that September, I seen LeBron James. He came to play the Goodman League. That's the DC crew versus the Mello League, and we went to Baltimore to see that one at Morgan State University with Carmelo Anthony, CP3, Eric Bledsoe, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and a plethora of other NBA players. You know what I mean? Um, Mike 104 says after the crash, Spence was marketed as living on a ranch on a farm. I always thought that was cap, like a public relations move. Yeah, I saw all those joints on All Access, where he was walking with his kind of big boots, and he had livestock like cattle and maybe horses on a ranch and whatnot. Hey man, hey, if he needed that type of serenity to get back in position, hey, rather than crashing Lambos and Ferraris, that was good for him. But at the end of the day, man, skills pay the bills. And Bud Crawford is about that life. This guy is a fighter, a fighter from a youth. You know what I mean? From a young boy, whether it's wrestling or throwing hands, boxing. And I ain't seen no football player fan from Dallas, Texas, a guy who probably started. Who Errol Spence said it himself. He got into boxing in high school. Bud was doing it since a little youth, and Bud Crawford had temper issues and stuff where he had been kicked out of gyms or because of his or anger or temper or maybe his behavior. I grew up with fellas like these, man, from a long time, you know what I mean? And hey, man, the guy was dedicated to fighting, whichever way it is. He's a competitor. You see how Bud Crawford plays ball? He's a competitor, you know what I mean? And them fellas wasn't going out like that. I don't know why people ain't believe the guy. The guy, Bud Crawford. How many people has he stopped, man? The last time he ain't have a stoppage was when he fought Victor Postal. You know how long ago that was? I gotta say, like 2017, maybe, in a unification where he did drop Postal twice, but Postal went the distance. A very good fighter. Postal made me a lot of money because I picked him to beat Lucas Matisse that night, and he made me some papes. You know, Matisse was favored to win that fight, but I knew Postal's style. Matisse wasn't ready for that, you know what I mean? And he busted up his eye. That same eye that the man Danny Garcia had previously busted up. Um, Town Biz says, don't forget Al. True indeed. Hey, man, Al Heyman, Al Heyman then prolonged the fight too, you know what I mean? And truth of the matter is, obviously, Bud Crawford was a free agent who came over there, just like Cannoli did. And they ain't want that man to win the fight. You know what I mean? They obviously wanted their house fighter to win the fight. But Bud Crawford ain't never get the treatment like Cannoli did. You know what I mean? And look, it's business. Obviously, Cannoli is a bigger draw. He's a guy who brings the Mexican fan base and whatnot. But Bud Crawford came over there, took all names, and he did what he had to do. And his next fight is going to be on the zone. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even matter because PBC is a sinking ship the way it's going as of right now. It's crazy. Showtime, they had a great year in 2023. But without Showtime, they're a sinking ship. You know what I mean? Mike 104 says, I might have to watch that fight tonight. Classic. Absolutely. That's a great fight. Tom Biz says, oh man, I know the whole Bay Area from Oakland to San Jose, then get in the opposite direction to Sacramento. True indeed, man. Your name Town Biz, man. I already know, man. I've been following Town Biz from a long time. You know what I'm saying? Since I was first starting to get into this YouTube boxing and even listening to videos before I started uploading my videos. And Slim always kept it 100, you know what I mean? Spoke his mind, and I salute you, Town Biz. You always held it down for your city, first and foremost. You know what I mean? And I gotta give it up to you. You know what I mean? You always hold it down for your city. You speak the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you don't follow you're not just you're your own man. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who follow bandwagons and trains of thoughts of others. We've obviously seen it on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, and maybe if you oppose that particular train of thought, now you treat it like a pariah and you be ostracized. You know what I mean? We've seen it happen to some people, and it's crazy, man. It's boxing. Not everybody's gonna think the same or see the same fight. Just like you watch a basketball game, NBA Finals. Look, man, I lived in Boston for many years, you know what I mean? So I'm a Boston Celtics fan. I used to like I used to love the Warriors back in the day with Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin and them, Sarunas Barcelonas. This before C Web, when they had Manu Bol and them, you know what I mean? But I was going for my Boston Celtics. I picked the Celtics in 7. You know, some people had said, man, the Celtics couldn't win that series. You know, it's just a matter of who. We ain't always gonna see everything the same. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we still have to be respectful and respect other people's opinions. And a lot of people can't do that. You know what I mean? Um, Tom Biz says you need to get you some Adidas. Anthony Edwards. Hey, Tom Biz, man, I ain't gonna hold you, Mo. Man, I'm a checks over stripes guy, man. I ain't worn nothing but Nikes. I haven't worn anything besides a Nike since like 1994. I had some Filas back in the day, Jamal Mashburn joints and the Grand Hills. That's the last time I've had anything besides Nikes, man. I'm a checks over stripes guy, man, and I don't think that's gonna change. I've seen a few fellas with the Anthony Edwards kicks at when I play ball in the gym. The young boys they be wearing them. They like Anthony Edwards. They look alright, man. They look much better than the James Harden joint. But I can't see. I've never had Adidas in my life. Really and truly, man. Checks over stripes guy, swoosh gang. You know what I mean? Real talk. But I know Tom Biz, man. That's why I watch his videos. He a sneakerhead just like me. You know what I mean? I need to put out some more vids with some kicks like you do. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. B Marsh Boxing. Salute to everybody in the chat. Town Biz, Mike 104. I know my East Coast folks, man. They probably sleep right now. You know what I mean? But salute to y'all fellas. And just basically had to come out here break down this Errol Spence and um Derrick James trouble in paradise. It's not a good look, but somebody's obviously trying to cheapen out and not pay their dues. And hey man, Uncle Sam takes a big chunk out of these fellas paydays, and you gotta pay your taxes before you get to splurging. You know what I mean? Yes, I do. You gotta pay your taxes before you get to splurging. Once you pay Uncle Sam, you might get some cash back. Then hey man, you could treat yourself, but don't spend more than you make. And who knows? Maybe Errol Spence is in that type of position and don't want to give up that $2.15 million that he owes Derrick James and more, according to Derrick James, $5 million total that he wants in seeking imputative damages for breach of contract and fraud. But it is what it is, man. We shall see. Time will tell. Um, where we at in the chat? Town Biz says, I still got my J's. I never said I got rid of them. I just wanted to try something new. And I got a few pair of Filas too. True indeed. Yeah, man. Fila was big time, man. Yeah, I know you already got your J's, Mo. I see you. I see them J's stacked up when you do your vids. You know what I mean? Your J's stacked up. I see like you got a whole lot of what do you? I think it's ones because they come in like them kind of old school boxes. You know what I mean? But I already know you hold it down with your J's, man. But I'm more of a, I like Nikes. You see me? I'm more of a, I play ball. You know what I'm saying? I play ball a few times a week. So I'm more of a Nike basketball. That's what I like up tempos, pennies, Barclays. I even like these type of kicks more than Jordans. But I keep J's too. Yes, indeed. Um, the AE1 is different, man. It looks like a nice shoe, to be honest, as far as comfortability and all that. I've just never had an Adidas in my life, man. But I'm not sure if that's going to change. I'm going to just stick to what I know. You already know. But salute to y'all fellas in the chat and everybody cool coming in. Please hit the thumbs up if you're new to the channel. Share and subscribe. Be Marsh Boxing. I'm out. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Gone. Stay.